And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And boy, have we got a great show for you today. It's appropriate since it's the last day of the week, don't you think? Sure. You know what? On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. We do that every day of the week. And on today's special segments, well, we're going to have John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and me. We're going to be talking politics on our simulcast of the Conservative Syndicate, and I'll be talking law and the ramifications of nominating a replacement for the late Justice Antonin Scalia. And we're also going to talk about Tim Cook and Apple with Corey Freeberg. You don't want to miss that. We got some great things going on. But right now, stand by for news. But first, at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's sunny and it is beautiful out there. Well, let's talk about the news. Let's talk about an abbreviated form of the news so I can give you the top 10 things that are going on, and then we'll get more in depth. First off, the 10 things that you need to know for Friday, actually your daily look at late breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about today and tomorrow. And first up, why the Pope and Donald Trump disagree. Francis says Trump is not Christian if he wants to address illegal immigration by building a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. The GOP candidate says it's disgraceful for a religious leader to question someone's faith. And the latest on Bernie's big new Hampshire win. Since then, Hillary Clinton has picked up endorsements from convention superdelegates, which dwarf Sanders' total. And the Pope weighs in on Zika virus. He suggests women threatened with Zika could use artificial contraception, saying avoiding pregnancy is not an absolute evil in the face of the global health emergency. Wow. That's something new. And Obama's plans to visit Cuba draws response. The announcement elicits hopeful cheers in Havana, but equal emphatic condemnation from U.S. lawmakers and Republican presidential candidates. Then, Turkey responds to suicide bombing in Ankara. Ankara blames Kurdish militant groups at home and in Syria for deadly attacks and increases pressure on the United States to sever ties with the Syrian Kurdish militia that has been a key force against the IS, or the Islamic State. Well, how one state is trailblazing a national debate over minimum wage. Oregon's House of Representatives approves an unprecedented three-tiered system that sets different rates by region. And an old idea gets new traction. The topic of limiting the service of Supreme Court justices is revived following the sudden death of Justice Antonin Scalia. Well, the Pope comments on bishops' behavior. He says any bishop who moves a suspected pedophile priest from parish to parish should resign. And Baylor reveals an unusual approach to campus sex assault allegations. The university didn't report a single instance in a 4-year span, a finding that represents a sharp contrast to reports at other private schools in the United States. Well, who is Chivo? That's the nickname for cinematographer Emmanuel Lubezki, whose work may make him a three-peat Oscar winner for Gravity, Birdman, and now The Revenant. Yeah. Well, let's talk about in-depth news. First off, let's talk about the Republican 2016 hopefuls getting emotional on the eve of the South Carolina primary. The Republican battle for South Carolina turned deeply personal on the eve of Saturday's high-stakes presidential primary as New York businessman Donald Trump eyed a delegate sweep and his Republican rivals fought for a Southern surprise. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, the son of a pastor, evoked the body of Christ in his closing message while fending off allegations of campaign misconduct in a state where most Republicans identify evangelical Christians. At the same time, Trump allies took subtle shots at Pope Francis for questioning the Republican frontrunner's devotion to Christian principles. Ohio Governor John Kasich opened up about the death of his parents, and Jeb Bush turned to his mother to help revive his underdog campaign. Friday marked an emotionally charged day in the campaign, with 50 delegates up for grabs in Saturday's primary contest. Candidates were also trying to stoke some badly needed momentum heading into the next phase of the campaign. March 1st, Super Tuesday. Well, we'll see what happens there. It just seems to me there's lots of surprises taking place in the presidential campaign. It's getting really interesting to watch, even though we're getting a little sick of all these debates, right? Well, here we go. Bush is seeking a much-needed revival in South Carolina and calls in his family. Jeb Bush has long kept his family at arm's length in his effort to become commander-in-chief, but with the South Carolina primary looming, he's embracing them like never before in the state that has historically stood by the Bush family in its previous White House bids. It's a drastic shift from the approach that he took at the start of his campaign, hinting at how precarious his fortunes have become. Excuse me. Now, with his back to the wall, Bush is grabbing hold of the legacy and hoping his front row view of the world's most difficult job means more to South Carolina's military-minded Republican voters than a few awkward exchanges on the campaign trail ahead of Saturday's critical primary. Well, you know what? In Beaufort, South Carolina, on Wednesday, Bush told an audience he had experienced watching history unfold in a unique way, a reference to his father's and brother's wartime administrations. Bush's best-known South Carolina advocate, the state's senior citizen Lindsey Graham, echoed that sentiment, stressing that Bush's family is one of the biggest strengths and assets. He understands the job because his brother and his father have had that job, Graham said. Well, you know what? I suppose if his brother and father had cancer, he'd understand that too, right? Or would he? He just know that they had it, I think. Well, we'll see. Well, Harper Lee, To Kill a Mockingbird author, has died at age 89. Harper Lee, the elusive novelist whose child's eye view of racial injustice in a small southern town, To Kill a Mockingbird became standard reading for millions of young people in an Oscar-winning film, has died since she was only 89 years of age. Only. And she's lived a nice life, right? Lee died peacefully today, publisher HarperCollins said in a statement. It did not give any other details about how she died. The world knows Harper Lee was a brilliant writer, but what many don't know is that she was an extraordinary woman of great joyfulness, humility, and kindness. She lived her life the way that she wanted to in private, surrounded by books and the people who loved her. Michael Morrison, head of the HarperCollins U.S. General Books Group, said in a statement, for most of her life, Lee divided her time between New York City, where she wrote the novel in the 1950s, and her hometown of Monroeville, which inspired the book's fictional Maycomb. To Kill a Mockingbird, published in 1960, is the story of a girl nicknamed Scout growing up in a Depression-era southern town. A black man has been wrongly accused of raping a white woman, and Scout's father, the resolute lawyer, Atticus Finch, defends him despite the threats and scorn of many. If you haven't seen it or read it, you should do both. That's what I think, anyway. Now, don't go away, folks. We got to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Pentagon. The Pentagon says the United States bombed the Islamic State training camp in Libya. I'm going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. Well, I told you, the Pentagon says the United States bombed an Islamic State training camp in Libya. So let's talk about that a little bit. You know, American F-15E fighter bombers struck an Islamic State training camp in rural Libya near the Tunisian border today, killing dozens, probably including an IS operative considered responsible for deadly attacks in Tunisia last year. U.S. and local officials reported that just today. The strike did not appear to mark the beginning of a sustained U.S. campaign in Libya, but a Pentagon spokesman said it may not be the last. The spokesman, Peter Cook, said the United States is determined to stop the Islamic State from gaining traction in Libya. Cook said the training camp was relatively new and that the U.S. has identified similar Islamic State training camps elsewhere in Libya, suggesting potential future strikes in defense of regional and U.S. national security interests. Well, you know what? I'm never going to shed a tear over that. That's for sure. You know, how about this? Britain's future migrant split reveals a growing European Union divide. Britain is thinking of leaving. Greece feels isolated. Austria and Denmark are pushing controversial measures for coping with asylum seekers despite what their neighbors think. You know, tensions between European Union leaders in this week's summit in Brussels have highlighted a gnawing lack of confidence that the bloc of 28 nations can provide timely answers to Europe's challenges. Rarely has the European Union seemed as fragmented and impotent as on today, when leaders grappled with a possible British exit and tried to find a united response to the refugee emergency. The fact that every policy being discussed is strongly contested is fueling doubts as to whether the European Union and its members will be able to match their rhetoric with concrete actions by cooperating more closely. Janice Amanolodis at the European Policy Center think tank wrote in an analysis, still barely recovering from an economic crisis that rivaled the Great Depression, Europe is now struggling with its biggest refugee crisis in well over half a century. The arrival of more than 1 million people fleeing conflict or poverty for better lives in a far wealthier Europe has overwhelmed border authorities and reception capacities. It has stoked unfounded fears of a threat to Europe's cultural identity and even religion, and arrival of extremism or the threat of jobs. As tens of thousands of people have packed into trains or hiked Europe's highways north from Greece toward their dream of having a home in Germany or Sweden, nations have erected fences or tightened border controls unilaterally, putting pressure on their European Union partners. The Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia are working together, pushing for a clampdown on borders along the main migrant transit route through the Balkans. You know what? It just makes it tough. Even nations like Austria and Denmark are out to step with, or out of step with the European nations. It's just tough. You know what? You can't stand alone, and you can't stand unequally if you're going to try and help people. That's my position. Well, thousands pay respects to the late Justice Scalia. Bidding farewell to their longtime colleague, the 8 remaining Supreme Court justices joined family members, former law clerks, and members of the public today in paying their respects to Antonin Scalia in a tradition-laden solemn day at the Marble Courthouse atop Capitol Hill. The Reverend Paul Scalia, the justice's son and a Catholic priest, said traditional prayers at a private ceremony before thousands of people filed through the court's Great Hall, where Scalia's casket lay on a funeral bier first used after President Abraham Lincoln's assassination. Well, you've called your servant Antonin out of this world. Release him from the bonds of sin and welcome him into your presence, the 6th of the justice's 9 children said. Outside the court, meanwhile, a makeshift memorial was set up featuring jars of applesauce, a pile of fortune cookies, and paper bags, items that figured in the outspoken conservative Scalia's sharp dissents in recent cases. President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama plan to pay respects later today, while Vice President Joe Biden and his wife Jill Biden were to attend Saturday's funeral mass. On Friday, or today, 98 former law clerks to Scalia lined the Supreme Court steps as the police honor guard carried the casket into the building beneath the iconic words, "Equal justice under the law." Well, just after 9:30 a.m. on a cold, overcast morning. He whether you believed in his politics or not, whether you believed in his dissents or his support of laws or not, he was a great, great man and had the courage of his convictions. He'll be missed. Well, last of Angola 3 inmates is released, and he thanks supporters. The last inmate of a group known as the Angola 3 pleaded no contest today to manslaughter in the 1972 death of a prison guard and was released after more than 4 decades in prison. Albert Woodfox and 2 other men became known as the Angola 3 for their decades-long stays in isolation at the Louisiana Penitentiary at Angola and other prisons. Officials said they were kept in solitary because their Black Panther Party activism would otherwise rile up inmates at the maximum security prison farm in Angola. Woodfox consistently maintained his innocence in the killing of guard Brent Miller. He was being held at the West Feliciana Parish Detention Center in St. Francisville, about 30 miles north of Baton Rouge. He was awaiting his 3rd trial in Miller's death after earlier convictions were thrown out by federal courts for reasons including racial bias in selecting a grand jury foreman. Now, having said that, don't go away, because you know what's coming up? Yep, the IRS loses. And the first case is a refund deadline was a mistake. And I'm going to tell you all about that mistake right after these brief messages. So don't go away. You don't want to miss it.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? a professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Okay, here we are, my favorite part of the show. The IRS loses. First, I want you to know that at 3:23 p.m. Pacific time, it's still 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 46 degrees. But if you're listening on our global network, I want you to know that in New York City, it's currently 35 degrees and overcast. And if you're listening to us in Chicago, Illinois, it's 54 degrees and overcast. But you know what? Let's talk about the IRS loses. And my first case here is a refund deadline was a mistake. Let me tell you about it. Richard Perkins owed a tax debt that the IRS sought to collect by levy. He had also overpaid his taxes before and asked to have the resulting refund applied against his tax debt. But he had filed the tax return more than 3 years late. So the IRS said that he had forfeited the refund. When Perkins asked if anything could extend the 3-year deadline, the IRS agent told him disability, but noted that Perkins hadn't been disabled when his return was actually due. So he went to court, and this is what the judge at the tax court said. If Perkins had been disabled within 3 years after the return's due date, the extension would apply, and he had been ill during that period, so the levy was stopped, and the IRS ordered to re-examine the case. There you go. The IRS is sort of like talking about the referees at a football game that change the rules at halftime. Just it shouldn't be done. They just keep trying this stuff. How about this? The IRS loses. The IRS commits fraud on the court. You waiting for it? In 1,300 tax shelter cases, the IRS attacked a tax shelter arrangement that 1,300 taxpayers had invested in. To avoid litigating all those cases, the parties agreed to a test case with both sides following its results in the other cases. But the IRS offered the taxpayers in the test case a favorable secret settlement if they lost in lieu of pursuing an appeal. The taxpayers then lost, and the IRS applied the courtroom result to all of the other cases. What happened next? Well, word of the secret settlement leaked, and the other taxpayers protested, went to court, and this is what the judge said. The IRS had committed fraud on the court and must apply the terms of the secret settlement to all of the cases. And the IRS must pay the legal fees in order to get this judgment and pay interest on the money that was withheld. I'll give you one more case the IRS lost. They abused its discretion in not giving relief to a spouse. Here's the story. The IRS tried to hold a woman liable for past due taxes owed by her husband, a lawyer who was a drug abuser, since disbarred and imprisoned. She sought innocent spouse relief, but the IRS denied it because she had known that they couldn't pay their taxes when signing their joint return, and she had never divorced or legally separated from her husband. But this is what the court said. The IRS neglected to consider important factors. She thought that she was legally separated. Her lawyer husband had deceived her. Her husband had been abusive and kept her from knowing about his finances, and paying his tax would cause her serious hardship. So she deserves relief, and she gets it. Doesn't that send chills up your spine? Man, it does me. I just love this stuff. Well, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. Well, that's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. This is just a little bit like the Twilight Zone. Okay, so I'll give it to you. This is not a tax court case, but these are precedents that have actually been set down by the IRS that you need to know about if you're going to defend yourself, and it helps a lot that there is a precedent set here. The first issue here is a contingent attorney fees in the IRS. Think about it. The IRS will generally take the position that the entire legal award received by a taxpayer must be considered part of the taxpayer's gross income, and the contingency fee paid to the attorney be classified as an itemized deduction. Now, the problem with this, the value of an itemized deduction for legal fees may be reduced or even eliminated after consideration of the alternative minimum tax. Now, accordingly, you wind up paying tax on the entire recovery, even though perhaps 1/3 of it was paid to your attorney. Now, some states have come to the rescue. Taxpayers living in Alabama, Michigan, and Texas are not required to include recovered attorney fees in their gross income. And based on litigation in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, taxpayers who live in Louisiana and Mississippi also do not have to include recovered attorney fees in their gross income. The Supreme Court's currently reviewing this case, and it may set a national standard. We'll see what's happening. We'll keep you informed on that. Well, what about when you owe the IRS money and borrow money from a bank? Sounds innocent enough, doesn't it? Well, a corporate officer who enters into a loan agreement that provides that the bank must approve all expenditures, including the payment of payroll taxes, does not relieve himself, or herself for that matter, of responsible person status. Now, he is still personally liable for the company's willful failure to pay trust fund, that's withholding, and Social Security taxes. The requirement to pay federal payroll taxes supersedes the contractual restriction imposed by the bank. Now, let me give you one more. Let me ask you, where does your business stand? Well, more than 95% of the business tax returns filed in the United States report annual gross receipts of less than $1 million. During last year, or the year before, I should say, the most recent figures that were available, approximately 25 million business tax returns were filed. Of these, almost 18 million were filed as sole proprietorships. Now, another interesting fact, the 5% of the business tax returns that had annual gross receipts of more than $1 million accounted for 92% of the aggregate business gross receipts that were actually reported. So keep that in mind. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to be with John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and me. We're going to be talking politics on our simulcast of the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews.
But first, before John and Joe get here, I want to tell you that at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time, it's still 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire. And you know what? If you're listening to us on our global network in Paris, France, it's 43 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're listening to us in Rome, Italy, it's 48 degrees and mostly cloudy. You know what? I love this part of it. John and Joe will be with us in about 30 seconds. He'll call in, and we'll be doing our simulcast. We had a plethora of additional radio stations conversations to both them and to us during this simulcast. We generally talk about politics and what's hot and what's not and the things that are going on. And it's a great part of the show. We do this every Monday and Friday at this time. And it's a super way to get caught up. There is no one on this earth or this planet that knows more about what's going on in conservative politics than John Matthews, and probably an outspoken part of that is his partner Joe Hakos. Anyway, they're going to be calling in here in just a moment, and I can't hardly wait. So you know what I'm doing now is I'm just filling dead air. I'm waiting for them to go ahead and hit that phone call so that I can announce them and say, hey, we're here, we're ready, we want to talk. This is the hardest part, is trying to get their call in at the same time I call in. We'll both go to a commercial break just about the same time, but not quite. We try to fill it up and know that we're going to get this thing taken care of. So anyway, they must be running a little long here. I'm not sure what's going on. So hopefully he's going to call in. I don't know what's actually going on here with them. There he is. There he is. Yeah, I was beginning to think John and Joe weren't going to call us today, but we're talking to John Matthews and Joe Hakos from the Conservative Syndicate. Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. Joe's still out. He'll be out probably another week.
Oh, that's not good news. I hope he's doing okay.
Yeah, he's doing okay. He's what he has basically is a urinary tract infection, and I guess it's just gotten out of hand. So, I don't know if he's ignored it or whatever, but he's back home. He's out of the hospital. He's back home recuperating. So we expect him back in another week or so.
Oh, that's great. Let's just wish him well. And I can imagine if it's a urinary tract infection, that's painful. That's not nice stuff.
I'm trying to figure out how he went as long as he did without knowing it.
Well, yeah, you know what? John, it's true. I mean, everybody that I've never had a urinary tract infection, but my wife has, and I know people that have, and I want to tell you, they suffered. That was painful. I don't know how he didn't start feeling those symptoms right at the beginning.
Well, I've been joking about it, saying, maybe it's just the idea that when we get to a certain age, we have so many pains.
That's true. The older you get, it's just another one. It's just another one of those pains. You just add it to the ones you already have and ignore it, or try to, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so listen, what do you think about the Pope and Donald?
What's that?
What do you think about the Pope and Donald?
Oh, I think it's the best of both worlds, Clark.
You know what? I'm astounded. I just can't, there's a part of me that wants to say that English is certainly not the Pope's best language, is one he has some difficulty with, and that perhaps when he framed that statement that he made, he didn't get an awful lot of counsel and help with it, and probably never should have made that comment.
Well, my opinion is this. I mean, this is my pet peeve. You have basically tapped into probably the biggest thing that drives me across the airways, and that is the hypocrisy of institutionalized religion.
Yeah.
And on one side of it, I look at the Pope, and I'm thinking, first of all, who the heck is this guy to be saying anything?
Yeah. Well, John, even more important than that, why is he bringing religion into a national security issue? We're talking about an independent, sovereign country that wants to protect their border and their citizens. What the heck is he doing?
Well, this is the big thing. This is the apostasy that has saturated Christianity today. And this is something that, in fact, I'll just take just a second here and just shamelessly promote myself. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm writing a book on this. It's called The Day the Music Died, How Liberalism and Apostasy Has Undermined Our Republic. And at the foundation of everything that I see wrong with America today, I find the church the biggest culprit. And it's because of this Christianity, that this humanistic, get along, friendly, let's all be kumbaya, friendly kind of religion that's out there. Now, Pope Francis is out there basically saying because Donald Trump wants to build a wall and he wants to deport illegals and he wants to forbid refugees from coming into the country. This is not a Christian attribute because we're supposed to take care of everybody. Well, that is taking the Christian doctrine of taking care of the poor and putting it into the political arena.
Can I interrupt you here for just a second, John?
Huh?
Let me interrupt you for a second, because if that is what the Pope is espousing, that Christian principle of helping the poor and the needy, then explain to me why the richest church on earth hasn't liquidated all of their artifacts and checked out all of their money out of the bank and given it to the poor.
Oh, because for the same reason Democrats haven't quit taking money from special interests. It's because it's their lifeblood, and the idea of nobody's poor in the world. The most impoverished person in the world is the Pope.
Well, you and I have had many discussions about this, and you know that my position on organized religion. I firmly believe that organized religion, while not totally bad, is really nothing more than a profitable business that doesn't have to pay taxes.
Well, I think organized religion is totally bad. Or let me say institutionalized religion. There's organized religion. I understand every church has to have some level of infrastructure and organization. The church I come from is what they call an independent. We have no hierarchy. We are our own entity. But when you get into the denominational infrastructure of something like Catholicism or the Baptists or the Presbyterians, there's a hierarchy there. There is a board of directors, there is a CEO, there's a whole nine yards, and it becomes a business, and therefore everything is reflected, the decisions and even changes in doctrine. The Catholic Church has probably been one of the best progressive movements in the world because they change their doctrine depending on how well it's attracting people into the pews.
Well, didn't Christ say that his church was a universal church and the church was the people?
I'm sorry?
Didn't he say that his church was a universal church and his church was the people?
Well, what I'm saying is that any time you look at Catholicism, I was raised a Catholic, and a real simple thing here. Today is Good Friday. Every Friday is Good Friday. When I was growing up a Catholic, every Friday was Good Friday. What did that mean?
Yeah.
You didn't eat on Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, now the only thing you can do now, the only way they encourage now not eating meat on Friday is they sell filet of fish at McDonald's for $1.79 instead of $3.99 on Friday. But it no longer pertains, because what happened was 30 years ago, people began to leave the church because they got tired of people telling them I can't eat meat on Fridays. I can't afford to buy fish. I got to feed my family hot dogs, for crying out loud. And, our family began to pull away. Well, I pulled away from the church when my parents divorced and we were excommunicated. Now it doesn't make any difference. Now it's okay to have homosexual priests. Why? Because people were beginning to pull away.
Well, did you see that the Pope made a statement today? You know how the church feels about contraception. Totally against contraception, except the natural kind that doesn't work. And then today the Pope says, well, that's okay because people in Brazil can go ahead and use contraception because it's not really a bad thing, especially when you think in terms of the destruction that the Zika virus would cause.
Well, I've spent a lot of time asking people in my family and other people that I know when we talk about Catholicism. And I'll say this, and this is what I believe is so indicative. The red flag here is that anything that is represented as Christianity or religion, the Pope is the model by which the media uses to measure that. Mm-hmm. So if you're against the Pope, you're against God, and that's the only way. Now, if you're against a Baptist minister down in Michigan or Kansas protesting Barack Obama, well, then you're a hater. But if you're against the Pope, then you're anti-Christian, because that's the way they view things. Humanism is the media's religion. So what I'm getting at here is that when you ask a Catholic, I know you. I don't know if you were raised Catholic. But
yes, Matt. Not only was I raised Catholic, I went to the seminary because I honestly thought that I wanted to be a priest. Actually, what wound up happening is that I found out that I liked girls more than I did the calluses on my knees. And then later on, there were a lot of fallacies and things that made no sense to me about the Catholic religion.
Yeah, you and I went through the same history. I was in seminary. I was preparing for seminary, and puberty hit, and that just went to hell in a handbasket. And then, of course, sitting in theology classes and asking questions and just being told to blindly follow something without any sense of reasoning. After a while, I began to have my doubts. And then when my family was excommunicated, that was it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I stand a better chance with the devil because I know where he's coming from.
Well, not only that, but they don't follow the same premises that they preach, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, well, and what it is that what I ended up doing in my life is I ended up throwing out the baby with the dishwater. I thought, okay, if this is what God is about, I don't want anything to do with it. Of course, through the grace of God, I've learned a different lesson that way. But
yeah, you went totally off the wall the other way, and then had to come back, right?
Oh, I had to go. I spent a good number of years in the pit of hell before I was pulled up by my bootstraps. But I'll give you this point here before we go to the break. The point is, if you ask most Catholics today, and you recite to them anything in the Catholic Catechism, which is the Catholic doctrine, and you will find 95% of the time they will not agree with that doctrine. And so you say, well, why are you Catholic? And it's pretty much culture. I was born Catholic. I was raised Catholic.
Yep.
And it's just part of who my culture has nothing really to do with God. Yep. So it's on that premise that we have this guy out there telling us that a man who wants to protect our borders is not a Christian because he doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and you know what? And I don't think anybody can actually tell somebody what their faith and their beliefs are. I just think it's the wrong thing for any individual, and I don't care what he is purported to be. That was a mistake. In any event, John, we'll be back with you after your commercial break. And
all right, we'll be right back.
And the rest of you, don't go away. We're going to take a break.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call.
And we're back with John Matthews and the Conservative Syndicate. You came back a little bit early, John. I'm sorry I had to cut my commercial off. And it's not a problem. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, we were talking here about the Catholicism. And like I said, if you talk to most Catholics today, almost every one of them will tell you, you have to recite to them what they believe. You have to say, this is what you believe as a Catholic. And most of them will tell you, no, that's not what I believe. And that is why Catholicism is such a ever-changing, ever-evolving, if I can use the leftist phrase now, ever-evolving religion, that it changes with the times. And so the idea that the Pope is out there sticking his nose in something that he shouldn't be, so what? What I find more entertaining about this is Donald Trump trying to counter it by trying to tell us he's a good Christian.
Wait a minute. I don't think he said he was a good Christian. I think he said. I think he said he was Christian.
He absolutely did. He said, "I'm a good person. I'm a good Christian."
Okay. I'm sorry. That's part of that's, first of all, I like Donald Trump and all the things, most of the things he's doing. There's a lot of hot air out there and a lot of stuff going on. But you know what I love about this guy? There is nobody sacred to him. Anybody that takes a shot at him, look out, because he's coming back at him.
Well, we've been discussing this off and on all week on our show. Uh-huh. And I want you to just take a moment here and let's just pull back and kind of look at this thing from a very broad perspective here. Let's try to visualize what a debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will sound like. And it will be something like this. Gee, Donald, why do you think that I'm not qualified for president? You've given me so much money in the previous campaigns that I've had, and you've donated money to my cause. And Donald says, well, Hillary, you were in power, and I thought you could do me a lot of favors by doing that. And she says, well, isn't that hypocritical, Donald? No, it's not hypocritical. What's hypocritical, Hillary, is that you flip-flopped on all the issues. Well, Donald, haven't you flip-flopped on the same issues that I flip-flopped on? Let's have a contest who has flip-flopped the most or flip-flopped the least. Listen, this is what the election is. It's about the person that has flip-flopped the least on their evolving ideologies over the course of the last 30, 40 years. Because if you compare them in terms of their beliefs, just 3 years ago, these people were almost exactly the same.
Is it? But I was wondering who actually created that phrase, "I've evolved."
That was our president, Barack Obama, nationalized homosexuality.
I mean, boy, is that the catch-all for everything? I've evolved. I've grown.
Certainly is. Back to the talk of the church here. We've been having this dialogue in the evangelical circles about some of the big preachers out there, the mega preachers, people like T.D. Jakes and Joel Osteen and Rick Warren, who have all evolved on the issue of Christianity, and in their statements on homosexuality, and in their statements you have used that word. But they too have evolved.
Well, it seems to me, I remember Jim Baker, he evolved too, right?
Well, it's because it's the Catholic theorem here. You stand up in a church of 30,000 people today and say that homosexuality is against God's word. I'm not talking about getting up and saying all homosexuals are going to hell. We need to burn these people at the stake or whatever. I'm just saying, reciting or repeating what the Bible says about homosexuality. Well, you're going to lose probably 2 to 3% of your congregation because chances are they are homosexuals.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't do that, because if we do that, then we affect our business as a church, because now we have employees and everything else, and we got to worry about the media taking hold of this and running with it.
And they've evolved to the bottom line, right?
Yeah, it's always the bottom line. And so what we have are pastors that are evolving out of the Bible into their own doctrine, the human doctrine that the Bible tells us will come when men begin to turn away from God, that they will begin to form their own doctrines and reinterpret the scriptures to mean whatever they want them to mean. I'm not sitting here, and I always have to always premise my remarks about homosexuality in this way. I don't care what homosexuals believe. I don't care what they do. I don't care who they do it with. What I'm against is somebody telling me that I have to accept it when I know it's not acceptable to the one who's created me and the one that I will stand before and be judged. I could give a damn what a liberal thinks about me. I'm more concerned about what my creator thinks about me. And if I can't express that opinion, then who is the hypocrite here?
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. You know what? You're not telling anybody how to live their life. You're just telling people how you want to live your life and what your expectations are.
Yeah, you can be what you want to be. Yeah. You haven't been given the right to pursue a lifestyle like that. You have been given the freedom to, but it's not without consequence. It's not without being judged. We'll all be judged for our choices, not our rights. And that's what people get mixed up here. So the church is evolving into this, we'll go along with the world to get along. And what they're doing is now they're teaching a false doctrine, which has brought about this humanism, which has created the vacuum, which allows people like Barack Obama to come in as a Christian / Muslim / progressive / pragmatic centralist, whatever he wants to be on any given day, and say whatever he wants to say. And the lemmings just follow along going, yeah, that sounds good. Everybody gets along. Utopia, kumbaya. Yeah, let's love everybody.
Yeah. Well, I find it interesting that people's core religious beliefs all of a sudden take a second seat to their comfort and their in what they want out of life, and they are evolving on a convenient basis, not a realistic basis. It seems to me that there's some evolution that is absolutely wrong. Core beliefs, these beliefs in faith and morals and standards and in Christ and God, those, if you really believe in those things, they don't change.
No, and the truth is absolute, and that's one thing that people don't want to acknowledge. Everybody inherently knows right from wrong. If we didn't inherently know it, we would not know right from wrong. But inherently we know. And so what we do is we begin to rationalize and justify, just like what you said. We're more comfortable. It's more comfortable. I feel uneasy telling somebody that what they're doing may not line up within the terms and conditions set by the one who created them. And I don't feel, it doesn't make me feel good saying it.
Yeah.
As a Christian, that is what we have been told to do by our God, is to warn people, not judge them, warn them. And after that, now, once I've told somebody, this is what God says about this, you can give me any rationalization or justification you want. I fulfilled my obligation. From this point on, it's you and God. I don't care which way you go.
Yeah.
I'm fulfilling my responsibility to tell you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, John, we've got about 10 seconds. Why don't you give out your contact information for your show? Tell people about you.
Yeah, you want to find us at theconservativesyndicate.net and get ready. We should be ready. I'm hoping to publish our book here, The Day the Music Died, How Apostasy and Liberalism Has Undermined Our Republic. I hope that's going to be coming out here in June. And so we're real excited about that. Other than that, just visit us at theconservativesyndicate.net.
Hey, John, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay happy, make everybody's life better because you're in it, buddy.
All right, take care. God bless you.
All right, God bless you too. You take care. And we'll be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468 909-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the bowels of the Hall of Justice, our own legal guru, David Garrett, attorney at law.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it's on its way down to 46 degrees. But you know what? If you're listening to us on our global network and you're in London, England, it's 48 degrees and mostly cloudy. In Vienna, Austria, got tongue-tied. Don't know what's going on with that. It's 39 degrees and scattered clouds. But you know what? Filling in for our David Garrett today is a terrific guy. Corey Freeberg is the managing partner of the Freeberg Law Office as well as of counsel for Bloomberg, Benson, and Garrett, and also for Bristol, Haynes, and Associates. He's a licensed attorney in California and Arizona. He's an attorney at law that proudly represents people during rough times of need through no fault of their own. Individuals contact him with help for workers' compensation, personal injury, employment and labor disputes, private problems that they can't share with anybody else. And his fellow attorneys hire him for contract work with depositions, legal motion preparations, court appearances, consulting on areas of law that are outside their comfort zone. And speaking of comfort zones, we're going to be talking to Corey here about a couple of things, and we'll see what his positions are. Hey, Corey, welcome aboard.
Hi, Robert. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I hope you're having a good day. I have a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about. First off, I'd like to get your take on Antonin Scalia and his replacement. There's a part of me as I'm on the air, I'm a conservative. And there's a part of me that says, gosh, I don't want a far left-hand liberal to be put on the court. On the other hand, I don't want a far right-hand conservative on the court. I'd love to have a centrist there and somebody that stops legislating and starts interpreting the law according to the Constitution. So I'd love to get your take on that.
Well, based on your little background right there, I'm assuming that you were one of the many that were deeply saddened by his passing, because
yes,
he was a person that strongly felt a justice should not legislate from the bench, even though he had quite a reputation of doing that. And it's become quite a hot topic. I don't know if you watched the debates on, I believe it was Wednesday night.
Oh, yeah, I watch them all.
And they are, I would hope so. And as you know, the hot topic there was whether President Obama should even nominate another replacement prior to him leaving the office. And it seems as though he probably will. And that's going to be a hot topic for the debate as it has become already.
Yeah, let me give you my take on that. And that is you know what? Whether you like him or you don't like him, he was elected twice. He is the president of the United States. That's 2 4-year terms, not a 4-year and a 3-year term. I believe in the Senate's power of advice and consent. I think that Obama has an obligation to appoint a justice, and I think that the Senate has an obligation to vet that person and decide if he's qualified or not qualified, and either vote him up or vote him down. They don't have to accept who Obama puts in there, but I think they do have to vet him properly. And if the guy is qualified in every way, then I think they need to put him in there. I don't like the idea that we could go another year with only 8 justices. It's like not having a Supreme Court at all.
Exactly, especially with the way that they're currently made up. It seems like there would be a lot of draws on many of the cases they have upcoming. And if you do even just, I did a little Google search of odds for the next replacement, and it's quite hilarious, the list that people are actually now placing bets on who President Obama may nominate. And ironically, there are odds. Let's see, I'll tell you the exact number because I flipped to it. There are 5,000 to 1 odds that Barack Obama will nominate himself.
Oh, you're kidding.
To this seat. And on this list, the only people with lower odds would be Bill or Hillary Clinton.
Really? You know what? I heard tell yesterday that Obama could very well also nominate Joe Biden.
Yes. I mean, let's see, I'm sure he's on this list. This list is maybe about 20 strong in it. I found it to be quite hilarious.
Yeah, there has got to be. There probably isn't, but there should be a law against it. I mean, God, can you imagine? Well, first of all, he'd never get by the Senate anyway because of all the executive orders that were going on and all the stuff that's going on. Can you imagine the propagation of his authority and what power he would have as a justice of the United States Supreme Court? My God.
Yeah, I mean, technically they say he could. Would he? No. I think he is facing already enough issues as he is leaving office, and quite frankly, he may become now the second president to leave office and then is disappearing from sight just because of a lot of disappointment with his policies on both sides of the aisle throughout his presidency. And I really hope that we aren't turning into a country that is trending towards that, where as the president leaves, we rip him apart, embarrass him, and use hindsight 2020 to reevaluate every political decision they made. But I get the sense that President Obama is on, unfortunately, a similar path where some of his shortcomings during office may haunt him after he leaves the office, and there's little chance that he would, there's a 5,000 to 1 odds that he would really put the final nail in the coffin and try to nominate himself. So I don't think that is really a safe bet.
Yeah. And no, that's not a safe bet at all. But you know, I do agree with you. Here's the thing. Obama got elected the first time, and he got elected the second time. And rather than castigate the guy, because most of the people that I talk to and the pundits I talk to, all they want to do is castigate Obama. I'm not really interested in castigating Obama. I'm really interested in how you fix the problems. And I'd like to know from what was 17 GOP candidates and what was 5 or 7 liberal candidates. I'd like to know how they're going to fix the problem. But as of today, I really haven't heard anybody tell me how they're going to fix the problem. They tell me what they're going to do, but they don't tell me how they're going to do it.
And let's face it, I mean, even if they were telling you how they would do it, I think the first day in office, they're reading a notebook, and probably a eye-opening day in that person's career, and that's probably a large reason why we see so many of the past presidential nominees, when they become president, completely changing from the things that they were saying while trying to get elected.
Oh, yeah. I'm convinced that all the person who runs for president wants is two things. He wants to get elected and he wants to stay elected, neither one of which has anything to do with protecting the citizens of the United States, which is their primary job in protecting the Constitution. And then immediately following their oath of office, then we, the people, what we do is we issue them what I refer to as an American distress card. That's where they get the credit and we get the bill.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Now, I am curious to see what happens and how it may affect the upcoming election if President Obama makes a nomination and it's blocked by the Senate solely for the reason that they've been citing all week, some 80-year precedent of it never happening in the past 80 years.
Well, but I got to tell you, as a conservative, and now I used to call myself a Republican. Now it's very difficult to call myself a Republican. It's hard to admit it, but I am a conservative, and it seems to me that what the Republican Party consistently has been doing is shooting themselves in the foot. To block this nomination and not let it get to committee, not let it get to the floor, is again them shooting themselves in the foot. They don't have to pass the person that's nominated, but they do need to do what they're obligated to do under the Constitution. This obstructionism on both sides, it's not just the Republicans that do that. This obstructionism has got to end, and if they do that, you're going to see a revolution of sorts in that you're going to see a lot of empty seats in the Congress coming up.
Yeah, and I think that it would probably it would ultimately be to the benefit of the Democratic Party in eventually probably being successful if the nominee by President Obama is blocked for this 80-year it's never happened before precedent. Because there's a lot of people, and I've been reading different articles and hearing different news reports. There was one that was on CNN, and basically he went out and interviewed a bunch of people in, I believe, South Carolina, and asking people, what is your opinion on the stance of the Senate or even, lower in, their arguments is the Republican nominees, that they'll block and prevent any nominee by President Obama, and it's seen as a sign of disrespect towards the president.
Yeah.
So if you're going to disrespect President Obama on his final year, I think that's only going to benefit the Democrats as they try to take the election, and have another Democratic president starting in 2017.
I think you're absolutely right. And here's the thing. His regardless of what the precedent is, the 80-year precedent that you speak of, the truth is he has the authority under the Constitution. He has the obligation under the Constitution, and so for him not to do it because it hasn't been done in 80 years, that just doesn't really hold water. And what the Republican Party really wants to have happen is they're hoping and praying that Donald Trump or Ted Cruz or Kasich or somebody wins the election, gets in the White House, and that they can then nominate a conservative to the court. The truth is it's the way it's however the dice falls, and that's what's happened here. The big problem that's going on, what it's hard for me to believe, is that Scalia was the guy that stopped breathing and not Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I mean, that woman can't even say it. During the State of the State of the Union address, she fell asleep, for God's sakes, and people were abusing her for that. And it seems to me that since Obama put her to sleep, Obama's the one that should have woke her up.
Yeah, I was very shocked when I woke up Saturday morning and saw on my news feed that he had passed away.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, he was in decent health. His writing was as coherent as he ever has been since he was first given the position back in, I believe, as far back as the late 80s. And his opinions have always been very very strong. He's been very outspoken on a number of very controversial topics. He is, all about what the original intent of the Constitution, dictates, which is kind of ironic considering what the Supreme Court now does, which is essentially legislate from the bench.
Well, he's obviously a very lucid, learned man. I mean, I personally believe that it's probably more difficult to write a dissent than it is the vote for the Supreme Court. I think when you're a dissenter and you're writing the dissent, I think that takes a whole lot more brain power than the other way around.
Yeah, and also he was also he authored a number of concurring opinions, but just for very different reasons. So that's also very challenging because you take away from the majority opinion, so you're not necessarily creating viable case law. And to do that while also being on the majority for a particular decision, that takes a lot of guts and a lot of research to really back up your published opinion.
So
and he did that a number of times.
So let me ask you, and you may not know, and it's unfair of me to ask you this, and I should have probably thought about this earlier. But when you are a Supreme Court justice, you have a fairly substantial staff, and you have clerks that are doing all this research and writing these papers pro and con that and they make these presentations to you. You almost don't even have to read them. You listen to the presentations, and as a jurist, you make up your mind based on those arguments, the position you're going to take. Is that really such as difficult a job as it's portrayed to be?
Well,
in your opinion,
I mean, I don't know anyone that has had one of those very desirable attorney positions that are doing the research for each of the justices, and so I haven't had a chance to hear what it's like from that perspective. But it cannot be an easy job still to form an opinion and decide that this is what I'm going with no matter what. Although I guess that's unfair to say, because hopefully they are staying open-minded throughout the particular case that they're hearing. But as an overall stance, he has had one that was pretty firm, and he seemed to stick with that throughout his entire career. And I feel that could be more and more difficult as time goes on.
It's interesting. One of the pop phrases today is, both with the Republicans and the Democrats, the phrase "I've evolved." Right? Well, you never hear that term when it comes to Scalia.
You're right. I don't think he did much evolving over his nearly 25, 30-year career with the Supreme Court.
Well, it's interesting. I think that most of his opinions are based on his interpretation of the Constitution and not the legislation that Congress has actually passed that's up before him for adjudication, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was... I forget the exact phrase that defines his type. It was textualism or constitutionalism, where he was referring basically to the strict interpretation of the Constitution, even though it largely is hard to interpret with the issues that we're facing today, because a number of the technology avenues that we have today couldn't even been fathomed back when the Constitution was being drafted. But yet he was stuck to the text of the Constitution as being the basis for where he needs to draw his legal opinions.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, you hear about the Constitution being referred to as a living document, and that means that you always need to interpret into it the advancements of society at large in certain current circumstances. But I think the basics. I mean, our forefathers were really bright men. Can you imagine the documents that they put together that leads us today. And it just seems to me that you shouldn't be so quick to discount it or to change it in any way. Anyway, Corey, I think we pretty much exhausted.
Well, one more point that I thought was really interesting from the debates the other night.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize this beforehand. I don't know if I was just missing news bits here and there, but Donald Trump's sister is a federal court judge.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And yeah, I learned that from the debates. I forget which nominee specifically stated it. But so Donald Trump's sister is federal court judge and purportedly pretty legal, liberal.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had my chance to research it since Wednesday. But how interesting would it be should he somehow be elected to the presidential office, that he would be able to pick his sister?
Well, you know what? Yeah, what an interesting thing. The one thing for sure, it seems to me that the people of the United States want change. They want to get rid of the good old boy network. And that's why you see Bernie Sanders being so popular. Even though he's been in politics for years and years and years, he doesn't have that good old boy network philosophy. Same thing goes for Trump and Cruz with regard to business as usual. It seems to me that the people of the United States want to change. They're tired of what's going on. In any event, Corey, we need to take a break. When we come back, I want to ask you about Tim Cook and Apple, and we'll propose some thoughts about that. We'll be right back with Corey Greenberg or Freeberg right after these brief messages. Do not go away, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:24 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 67 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, if you're listening to us on our global network and you're in Madrid, Spain, it's 36 degrees and it is clear, but it's also tomorrow. And if you're in Tokyo, it's 50 degrees and mostly cloudy. Well, you know what? If you ever get in hot water, you want to be able to call the gentleman we're talking to right now, Corey Freeberg. Corey has his own law practice, and he deals with the things that are difficult. So, you know what? If you need help or you need a consultation, call Corey at his office at area code 909-333-1527. Again, that number, 909-333-1527. Hey, Corey, so I was thinking about Tim Cook, the president, the CEO of Apple, and this the judge who seems to have sided with the FBI in ordering Apple to develop a software to unlock their iPhone for the terrorists in San Bernardino. I was wondering what thoughts you might have on that, because it just seems to me that it puts the rest of us 330 million, well, actually more than that, we got worldwide people in danger of losing their security from hackers and everybody else. What's your thought on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's already pretty nice to know that if you have an Apple, you are a much lesser risk of having a virus infect your computer or your device. And a lot of that is attributable to the way that Apple has set up their business since the very beginning. Now, I learned of the refusal from Tim Cook to comply with an order that was signed on February 16 out of a Riverside federal court. I actually learned of that in San Bernardino's civil court that very morning. It was even news to the judge at that time. And it's hard to side one way or the other, especially with my proximity to where the San Bernardino shootings happened, and even my old office being within, a good drive, is good drive as in driver off a T-box, so 300 yards from where the shooting happened. It's hard to take a stance that in any way seems to favor the terrorist.
Well,
shooting that day.
And Corey, I agree with you, but let me throw this in another direction. It just seems to me ironic. It wasn't that long ago that the NSA was in hot water because they were getting the phone numbers and the email addresses and information worldwide, not from other world leaders, from our allies, from our enemies, even people within the United States. And then the big issue was not that they couldn't do it anymore, but they had to get a court order to be able to do it. So they still had that capability. If they have that capability, why is this an issue for Microsoft to have to create software that doesn't exist yet?
Well, it seems that the FBI is having trouble getting into the shooter's phone. And a lot of iPhones have a setting where after 10 failed attempts at the password, the entire phone erases. Now, I'm probably one of the few people on the planet that has ever actually used that intentionally. I was passing on an iPhone, and instead of going through and plugging into my computer to erase it, I just figured, I'll just enter the password incorrectly 10 times. As it turns out, that's a lot harder of a process to do than you would expect, because it actually locks your iPhone for 24 hours before you can enter it the 10th time. And when you do enter it the 10th time, as we learned the hard way, it erases your iPhone so completely that you have to take it to the Apple Store. And I believe the salesperson at the Apple Store even hadn't seen a phone that completely erased. So, you have, on the one hand, the FBI wanting the information within this phone and it being unable to access it. Now, apparently, it doesn't exist, even all through Apple, any way to bypass these features to get in and get the information, which is actually quite reassuring.
Yeah.
After hearing, after learning recently just the complete and utter assault that we have on our privacy every single day. What the NSA collects is a fraction of the information that we give out to the rest of the internet every time we log in and sync one of our apps with our Facebook or our Google+. And it is actually kind of nice to know that Apple has our back and is refusing to create this back door into an iPhone, into an iOS program for the benefit of the FBI. And I'm kind of curious if there's not going to be some sort of backlash, even if it's slightly unconscious, by the American people against the FBI.
Yeah.
Even though they have the moral high ground of we're trying to stop terrorism and we've let so much of our privacy go in pursuit of our protection from terrorists. And I can't help but feel that this might be the overstep that will change that tide.
What concerns me too, Corey, is that I'm just not that confident that this isn't another one of those situations where the NSA is just not talking to the FBI because they're in conflict and competition with each other. The NSA probably has a lot of the information that the FBI really would like to get, and so the FBI is going around the corner to force Tim Cook to provide it, when what they really need to do is get the president to tell the NSA, give it to him.
Yeah, especially because they're trying to get old information off of this one particular iPhone.
Yeah.
By involving Apple, and according to the statement that Tim Cook put out on the Apple website earlier this week, it doesn't exist what the FBI is asking for. They're asking for a whole new iOS program, essentially for future problems.
Yes.
That can be overwritten. The privacy settings can be overridden for law enforcement to get into.
And that's my point. And do you remember when they were using these relocatable cells for tracking people and doing stuff like that, cell phones? It just seems to me, if the FBI wants this software developed, it's not because of the terrorists in San Bernardino. I worry that they're going to use it on so many other places. It's not like Apple is going to develop this and then destroy it after they get that one thing. That's not going to happen. And who's going to supervise it, for Pete's sake?
Exactly. And anyone that has a PC operating system knows the hassle they have to go through regularly with updating antivirus software and all the other problems that, I'm sure everyone knows someone that has had their, what do they call it, the blue screen of death, where they essentially lose everything because of a virus that got into their computer.
Well, there was
Apple doesn't really have that problem because, I suppose, of this stance that Tim Cook has taken, that we aren't going to create a security system that has any backdoor whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. Just in yesterday's news, there was this hospital that actually had gotten hacked by one of these bugs that they go in there and it shuts down in your computer. And they actually had to pay $17,000 to the people that had frozen their computer to unlock their computer so that the hospital could get at the medical records for the patients that were currently in the hospital.
That's not as rare as you may think. There are law firms that, as they go paperless and go into the cloud, that have been targeted by hackers who are able to get all of their clients' information, and they lock the law firm out of that database unless they cut a check. Yeah. And these are the big law firms across the country. It's only happened to a few. I'm not going to throw any of the names out. Mm-hmm. But they have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this information back.
Yeah.
And that's because there was the potential for a security breach from the very beginning. And yesterday on CNBC, they interviewed McAfee, I think is how you say his name.
Say it again.
McAfee, he sells the antivirus for Microsoft.
Yeah. McAfee.
Yeah, McAfee. There we go.
Yeah.
And his opinion was that the government should hire a private third party to hack in and break into the cell phone instead of giving a backdoor entrance to every single iPhone and making Apple do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is another possibility. But on the other hand, I'm sure he would love to do that because that would give him a huge boost in business.
Yeah.
As now all the Apple users learn, well, now I got to start buying his program to protect my computer and my iPhone.
Oh, absolutely. If you have a PC, I've got both Apple products and PCs. And the PC, now they come preloaded with McAfee information on it. You get bombarded unless you can get rid of that cookie that's in there. These guys, it's all about bottom line. And McAfee would love to be able to develop some kind of a backdoor for Apple and sell it.
Yeah, wouldn't they? That would be a huge boost in business for them, seeing as how more and more people are going Apple. And when you get an Apple, you're not really concerned about viruses. Now, I know technically the risk is still there, but we don't hear of it being an issue.
No. You sure don't. You sure don't. So.
And I almost want to applaud Tim Cook. Now, as an attorney, you can't really applaud someone who is defiantly refusing to comply with a court order.
But isn't that why they have an appeals court?
Well, yeah, but I mean it's his attorney's job. Yeah. I mean, so I don't always want to just come out in support of Tim Cook saying we're going to refuse it no matter what on principle. One of the best lessons I ever learned is when a client comes in your door and they say, "Well, it's for the principle of the matter," go ahead and say, well, thanks. It is nice having you here.
Yeah.
Because those tend to be the worst clients. But I'm sure his attorneys are thrilled at the prospect of challenging it. I just wish he wouldn't have done it in such a defiant manner.
Yeah. You know what? I suppose you could. It seems to me that if you were a little more diplomatic if people were a little more diplomatic about the way they made requests, they get a lot more cooperation. Just making demands. First of all, making demands of what is now the second largest company in the world. These guys, how much could you fine them? It's chump change to them. They don't care, and it's just not going to happen. So listen, we've got about 15 seconds. I'd like you to give out your contact information about your firm, and I want to thank you so very, very much for filling in for David today. This has been terrific.
Well, yeah, that time absolutely flew. My name is Corey Freeberg. I'm managing partner of the Freeberg Law Office and proudly of counsel for Blomberg, Benson & Garrett, as well as Bristol & Haynes. My contact information is 909-333-1527. And I know last time you had me on the air, you asked for a website, and I promised next time I'd be on, it'd be up and running. Well, I think my web designer is probably upset with me because I'm being a little too critical. So that website is still not up. Maybe next time it will be. Right. Anyone in California, specifically Southern California, with personal injury, workers' compensation, any employment law dispute, they can call my office at 909-333-1527, and I'd be happy to talk with them.
Hey, Corey, thank you so much. I really appreciated it. I think it was a great segment, and I look forward to the next time we get to talk again.
Great. Thank you so much.
All right. Now, the rest of you folks do not go away, because coming right up after this commercial break is going to be the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teachings for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting, but useless facts. We got some great ones. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. You know what? We're coming down to the wire, and I want you to know that if you're listening to us on our global network, if you're in Tokyo, Japan, it's 50 degrees, mostly cloudy, and if you're in Sydney, Australia, it's 77 degrees and mostly cloudy. But you know what? Right here in the heart of the Inland Empire is finally at 66 degrees on its way to 48 degrees in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what? It's time for us us to talk about the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the tip today is use structured debates to avoid groupthink. Let me explain this. To help your team respond to emerging threats and opportunities while avoiding the dangers of groupthink, teams or organizations operating on autopilot hold frequent structured debates, randomly assign different team members to argue opposing points of view. Then, at a regular team meeting of an offsite or at an offsite, set up a debate with scenarios such as our organization's mobile app will be obsolete within 2 years. Here's what will replace it, and here's what we need to do now to survive and thrive. Ask half the team to argue why the current mobile app is sufficient, and the other half to argue how and why the mobile app needs to be changed. Debates like this can help overcome people's reluctance to ask and answer tough questions about how the world has changed or is changing and how the organization needs to evolve accordingly. Well, you know what? It's time for us to give that secret daily teaching for your life. You've heard me say it many, many times. This is all about a positive mental attitude. You know what? That's just never going to change, and I can just beat it to death. The truth is, you're in control of your own life. You decide whether you're going to fail or you're going to prosper or you're going to succeed. You decide whether you're going to be rich or poor. You decide if you're going to be happy or sad. It's all about a positive mental attitude. Now, the secret for today is that you can have what you want if you know how to form the mold for it in your own thoughts. There's no dream that may not come true if you but learn to use the creative force working through you. The methods that work for one will work for all. The key to power lies in using what you have freely, fully, and thus opening wide your channels for more creative force to flow through you. Yeah. You know who wrote that? Robert Collier did. He was born in 1885, passed away in 1950. Can you believe that? Fantastic. Just fantastic. Well, you know what today is? Sure you do. First of all, we know it's Friday, and it's February the 19th. And more important than that, it's somebody's birthday. And the birthdays for today are, as always, good ones, right? Well, today, February the 19th, here's a guy that was born in 1473, passed away in 1543, a Polish mathematician and astronomer who formulated that the sun, rather than the earth, was the center of the universe. Happy birthday, Nicholas Copernicus. And here's a gentleman that was born in 1960, Duke of York, and fourth in line to the thrones of 16 countries. Happy birthday, Prince Andrew. Well, here's a singer married to Heidi Klum, born in 1963. Happy birthday, Seal. Yeah. And here's an actor that we all know. He was born in 1967, an actor known for his performance in The Usual Suspects. Happy birthday, Benicio del Toro. Yeah, you know who he is. He's a great actor. Well, what happened today in history? Can you guess? Well, on February the 19th in 1807, in Alabama, former Vice President of the United States, Aaron Burr, is arrested for treason and confined to Fort Stoddart. Yep. That happened on February 19th, 1807. Well, how about 1878? The phonograph is patented by Thomas Edison. And then February 19th, 1985, artificial heart recipient William J. Schroeder becomes the very first such patient to leave the hospital. Boy, that's a milestone, right? Absolutely. Well, what about this? What happened on February the 19th? I can tell you, there was a quote by Barbara DeAngelis, and she says, "Marriage is not a noun. It's a verb. It isn't something you get. It's something you do. It's the way you love your partner every day." Now that, my friends, is profound. Well, it's time for our interesting but useless facts. Let's start with this one. You know that the ant, when intoxicated, will always fall over to its right side? Now, I suppose you're going to go out, buy an ant farm, get them intoxicated, and prove that fact, right? Sure. How about this? Holland has the densest population per square mile of any nation in the world. That's kind of interesting. How about this? Guinness Stout, served in England as brewed in Ireland, and Guinness Stout served in Ireland as brewed in England. Go figure. It just seems weird, right? Yeah. How about this? In high school, Robin Williams was voted least likely to succeed. Wow. He's missed, you know. And let me give you this one. How about this? If you spell out all the numbers individually, you'll have to get to 1,000 before you find an A. Isn't that something? How about this? You can walk from Boston to New York City in fewer than 1,000,000 steps. Kind of lets you know what 1,000,000 is. Let me leave you with this one. Lorne Greene had one of his nipples bitten off by an alligator while he was host of Lorne Greene's Animal Kingdom. Yeah, I think that's a proper place to leave this one. I just want you to ponder on that a little bit. Now, don't go away. When we come back, I'm going to answer your emails. The first one's from Alexis Cagney from Arlington, Texas, asking about full-time student status. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:52 p.m. Pacific Time, currently 66 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to us on our global network and you're in Auckland, New Zealand, it's 75 degrees clear and it's 1:53 p.m. tomorrow. And if you're listening to us in Hong Kong, it's 57 degrees and overcast. It's also 53 a.m. Tomorrow. And you know what? Let's get down to it. We are down to the wire. Time for us to answer your emails. And, basically, sometimes the information you send us is a little bit sketchy. So we always encourage you to contact a licensed professional. They're always going to cost you less money than they save you generally, and they're going to give you peace of mind that you sleep at night because they have to have errors and omissions insurance. Same thing as malpractice insurance, but it does mean that if they make a mistake, they pay the piper, not you. Now, my first email comes from Alexis Cagney from Arlington, Texas, asking about full-time student status. Says, how many months must a student attend school during the year to be full-time student? My daughter graduates from college in May after going to school for less than half the year. Will that make her a full-time student so that I can claim her as a dependent? Well, Alexis, for a child to qualify as a dependent, the IRS says that he or she must be under the age of 19 at the end of the tax year or under the age of 24 if a full-time student for at least 5 months of the year. Now, her going to school for the 5 months through May will be sufficient to provide you with a dependency exemption for her if she is under the age of 24. So hopefully that helps you. My next email comes from Maya Griffin from Colorado Springs, Colorado, asking about convertible bonds. And she writes, I'm considering investing in convertible bonds, but if I convert them to stock shares in the future, what will the tax consequences be? Will there be taxable gain on the exchange or only when the shares are actually later sold? Well, Maya, a convertible bond is one that gives its owner the option to exchange it for a specified number of shares of stock in the company that actually issued the bond. Now, usually, a bond owner will choose to make such an exchange only if the company's share price rises to the point where the shares received in the exchange have a value greater than that of the bond. So, the swap produces a gain. But, even so, no currently taxable gain or loss results from such an exchange. Taxable gain or loss is deferred until the acquired stock shares are subsequently disposed of. So the basis in the stock is going to be what you actually paid for the bond. So hopefully that has answered your question and helped you. Next email comes from Giovanni Grasso from Los Angeles, California, asking about mortgage interest and AMT. That's alternative minimum tax. Writes, is mortgage interest deductible under alternative minimum tax? That's AMT rules. And are long-term capital gains taxed under the AMT? That's a good question, Giovanni. Interest paid on a loan used to acquire or improve a home is deductible under AMT rules, but interest on home equity borrowing used for other purposes such as a vacation is not deductible under AMT. Now, long-term capital gains are taxed the same rate under AMT as under normal rules, but capital gains may push total taxable income up beyond the AMT exempt amount, which is $58,000 on joint returns or $40,750 on single returns. But it also might increase state income taxes, which are not deductible under AMT and may create an AMT liability. So capital gains may indirectly create or increase AMT liability. It gets really technical. This is one of those places where you definitely want to be talking to a licensed professional. Now, last email comes from Jake Hartunian from Mesa, Arizona. He's a lottery winner, and he says, well, maybe he isn't. He says, if I win a lottery that pays $50 million over 20 years, then die after 2 years, is the remaining part of the $50 million subject to estate tax? How would my estate pay all that tax when the payments will only come in over the remaining 18 years? Well, Jake, it's a good question. You may not like the answer. Here's the thing. the current value of all the future payments is subject to estate tax when you die, and finding the money to pay the tax can be a real problem when most of the payments won't actually arrive until well into the future. Now, the simplest solution is to buy a life insurance policy that'll cover the tax if you can, or make an arrangement with the IRS, which is unlikely. Now, your best bet? Always elect a cash payment instead. Now, consult with an insurance, tax, and financial expert who can plan out the best strategy for you. That's what you really, really want to do. You don't want to go off in that other direction. Now, I want to remind everybody that Robert Cardoza Live has an app out. We'd like you to get that app. If you have an Apple product, go to the Apple Store and just search Robert Cardoza Live. If you've got a Windows or an Android product, go to googleplay.com and search Robert Cardoza Live. The app is absolutely free, and it'll allow you to listen to our shows. If we're broadcasting live like we are now, a little red flag will pop up saying that we're live. If not, you'll see all the archive shows there. And if you hit on information, it'll tell you what that particular show's all about. We'd love for you to get those apps and tell your friends all about those apps as well.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.